Hey guys, Jonathan Mozart here for JM Sports 100, the JM Sports Show. How's it going? I'm here to make NFL picks for Week 3 in the 2016 NFL season. And I do have a couple of announcements to make too before we get to the games. But first of all, actually, let's do that first. So I've decided because I kind of miss picking against the spread, and I said at some point in time in the season maybe I would do it, and maybe I would bring it back. However, and I am starting next week in week 4, I'm going to pick against the spread. I'm going to pick both straight up and against the spread. However, the against the spread picks are going to be social media exclusives on Twitter and on Facebook to try to get some traffic over there. So, and just because it's easier, it makes for a longer video if you're doing, this is a long enough video. We're gonna go back to the old way we're gonna continue on with the new way today, and hopefully mentally I just don't screw it up myself. So we're gonna do that, and it's too difficult to do spread and straight up, and talk enough to prove my point in the video for both. So. Um, Maybe if I do end up going back to the old way, where I do individual videos for each game, then maybe I will. Then maybe I'll go do just do the straight up in the video. But for right now, the against the spread in the video. But for right now, when that starts in week 4 next week, they're going to be social media exclusives both on Twitter and on Facebook. So, um, links down in the description for those if you want to go check those out. Okay, now let's get to the football. We are 0-1 on the week. We finished the week last week 11-5. We are 0-1 on the week, which means 11-6 essentially. Even though last night's game does count as this week, because I did the one thing that we have learned that we aren't supposed to do, and that's go against Bill Belichick. I made the pick on Twitter, and I made it on Facebook, and I said no Tom Brady, no Jimmy Garoppolo. The Texans rather, the Texans will beat Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots. And the Patriots thumped Houston. For those of you who, for some reason, don't know, the Patriots 27-0 in Foxborough against Houston because Bill Belichick can win with just about anything. I made the joke on Twitter last night that I had heard a rumor that next week that the Patriots were going to start a cheese sandwich, and I was still going to pick them. And then I went and looked and saw who they played. They play Buffalo next week. So even if the Patriots did start a cheese sandwich at quarterback, I could probably still pick them. Okay, so with the 10-6 with the 11-5 last week and the 0-1 this week, we are 22-11 on the year. 905, 534, and 3 is the lifetime record. For those of you who do not know how this works, until I screw it up, which I probably will because I've done every week so far, what is going to happen is I'm going to go through I'm going to talk about a game. I'm going to make a pick, and then I am going to hit this little button right here and do this. And then I will come back. And then I will talk about the next game, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be a long video. They usually are. And um, also, if there's one particular game you're looking for, like say you're looking for the Lions Packers game for this week, go down in the description and it will be there. Like there'll be a list of the games, and at what point in the video I start talking about that game, just click on that. There you go. It'll take you to it. Everybody's happy. So, okay. So, there you go, that is that. And so let's get right to it, and let's kick things off with talking about the Arizona Cardinals and the aforementioned from their game against the Patriots next week, the Buffalo Bills. And there you got to look early at how things look for when I jump from game to game because I got a phone call. So first up, we are going to take a look at the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. Excuse me. The Cardinals come in 1-1. The Buffalo Bills come in 0-2. And about the only somewhat saving grace I think for Buffalo in this game, if you can call it that, is the fact that they're on the road. Arizona is a very, very good football team. You look at Arizona, they lost close to New England. Then they played Tampa Bay last week. I said the game was going to be closer than it was. I was wrong. I thought Tampa was going to make a game out of it. Looking back at it now, I even said in the video that the Cardinals were going to be mad at how the New England game went. And when a team comes out mad, it sometimes it usually isn't pretty. And so now that I think about it today, looking back at it, I probably shouldn't have thought that game was going to be as close as it was. And like I said, it wasn't. With the 40-7 win last week for the Cardinals over the Buccaneers. And the thing is, Bruce Arians publicly this week called out some of his players. He wasn't happy in the 40-7 win with the way they played. So I think they'll be a little bit more buttoned up. Plus, if you look at this Buffalo team is not doing a lot well. They're at the bottom of the league in third down conversions. They're at the bottom of the league in 3-and-out series. They're at the bottom of the league in just offense in general. The offense is just not moving the football right now. Now, they do have a new offensive coordinator coming in as Greg Roman was relieved of his duties and Anthony Lynn was brought out to be the offensive coordinator. But this is just, even though Anthony Lynn knows the system, this is his first game calling. I don't expect things to be pretty here. Rex Ryan said it's not time to panic. I disagree. I think if you're Rex Ryan and you want to keep your job, I think you really need to panic. Also, basically, he said that one of the best ways to beat the Cardinals is hoping for Carson Palmer to have an off day. And I feel like, and maybe I'm just overreacting here, but I feel like that's not the way to do it. I feel like to be a successful team and a successful coach, aren't you supposed to figure out the weaknesses of a quarterback? Because Carson Palmer is really good, but he has weaknesses. And aren't you supposed to find the weaknesses of the opposing quarterback and exploit them instead of saying, hopefully he just sucks today? So I don't think this game. I could be wrong because of the travel for the Cardinals. The Cardinals will win this game. I'm pretty sure of that. By how much? Probably a lot. Bruce Arians expects a lot out of his offense. He is very hard on them as far as what he expects, and I definitely think that I didn't see much of the Cardinal Buccaneer game, to be honest with you, so I don't know what needed to be buttoned up, but whatever needed to be buttoned up and whatever he wasn't happy with, I'm pretty sure it probably will get buttoned up. I've got the Cardinals getting the victory. Next up, we are going to take a look at a playoff caliber matchup that we will see between the Denver Broncos and the Cincinnati Bengals. 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. The Broncos come in 2-0, the Bengals come in 1-1. The Bengals had their first home game of the year, and I'm sure that they will definitely be looking forward to that after the last couple of weeks that they have had some tough road contests for them against the Jets, and then of course losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. And meanwhile, on the other end, you've got the Denver Broncos coming in 2-0 as they've beaten Carolina and they've beaten Indianapolis, but they did both of those at home. That's the big story coming into this game, is Trevor Siemian being on the road for the first time in his career. How is he going to play? Siemian has not necessarily blown people away. Denver's defense is doing a good job of really getting the job done. This is a battle of two of the best defenses in the league. And it's going to be interesting to see how Simeon does against this true test. Carolina's obviously got a pretty good defense, and he got past that. Indianapolis' defense is not great, but this is going to be a real test for him right here in this Cincinnati defense. And same thing for Andy Dalton and the Bengals. Now, the Bengals have played two good defenses, I think, in both the Jets and the Steelers, and now they have another one here, but this one's at home. I think the one edge that Cincinnati has as far as the defensive battle is the fact that they're not going to have to play against DeMarcus Ware because he is injured. So really, the Bengals' offensive line and can really focus on Von Miller and trying to trying to keep him quiet. So and Aqib Talib is going to have to do what he can against AJ Green. Uh, that's going to be an interesting matchup to see. This is going to be a good game. I think so. I think the Broncos. I think Simeon. I think Simeon's going to keep the Broncos in the game. Here's the thing about Trevor Simeon. I don't think Simeon. I'm going to say the same thing about Simeon that a lot of people thought about Kirk Cousins, and it's coming out to be true. Kind of in that case is I don't think Simeon is the long-term answer in Denver. I think he will get you through this year, but like long-term, if you want to win Super Bowls, championships, I don't think Simeon is the guy that is quite at that level to do that. So, like I said, I do think he's going to keep the Broncos in a lot of games, as he's done. Obviously, he's won the first two at home, but as we said, his first road test comes now against a really good Cincinnati defense. I think the game is a competitive game, but I think in the end, I've got to go with the Bengals. I think I've got to go with the experience of the Bengals. Andy Dalton, it's at home. Trevor Simeon's on the road for the first time. A very, very tough defense Simeon is going to have to go up against, and the Bengals are going to have to go up against a tough defense too. But as I said, no DeMarcus Ware, and I think that'll help the Bengals just a little bit. The next game we are going to take a look at is the matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins, and that game can be seen Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. Both teams coming in 0-2. The Browns 0-1 on the road. The Dolphins have yet to play at home. This is their first home game. And, of course, the big news for the Browns coming into this game is the fact that Cody Kessler is starting at quarterback, the fifth different quarterback to start for the Browns in the last 5 games. Just a tough luck there. RG3 going out in week 1. Josh McCown broke his collarbone. Went out in week 2. Who knows when he'll be back? So right now it's next man up, and right now that guy is rookie out of USC, Cody Kessler. Now USC quarterbacks have not been fantastic in the NFL. Cody Kessler did not. I saw Cody Kessler play a couple times in the preseason. He didn't look that impressive to me, of course. Known for his big gaffe in the preseason, the safety running out of the back of the end zone against the Packers. But the thing about the Browns here is I think the Browns have to run the football. I don't know that Cody Kessler can get it done through the air, and the Dolphins have kind of struggled with stopping the run this year. Granted, they've played Seattle and they've played New England. It's not like they've played slouches, and they've been in both games. But they've struggled against the run, and that is that is something that the Browns do need to try to exploit. They haven't been fantastic at running the ball either. They're missing Pouncey at center. So just I don't like the way this Cleveland organization is going. I've been saying it all week. I've been saying it really all year. I don't like the way this Cleveland organization is going. Now they've got to go into Miami, a stadium that was renovated, and face the Namakan Mario Williams, and Cameron Wake. Good luck. And on top of that, Cleveland has been atrocious on the road as of late. They've lost 10 of their last 11 on the road. They're coming off of a game last week against Baltimore that they shouldn't have ultimately lost, and there's a lot of talk as to why they lost that game. Was it officiating? Did the officiate? No, the officiating didn't screw up that game. The Browns had a decent sized lead at halftime. They held the Ravens to 2 points and lost the game. So no, it's the Browns being the Browns, and now you've got to go on the road and face that defense, a defense that, granted, that held Seattle and played them tough, and granted fell behind against New England, but was able to eventually figure that out, put a stop to New England scoring, and then they got their offense going, got their offense moving, and had an opportunity to win that game, or at least tie that game up. So if you're Cleveland right now, you can't be going into Miami with a ton of confidence, because you're on the road, a place that you really struggle. You're on the road, it's a situation that you've really struggled in. You've got rookie Cody Kessler. You're starting your 50th different quarterback in 50 games. It is not good right now. If you're Cleveland, Miami needs a win. They're frustrated. They have lost two very, very tight football games, as we said, on the road, going uh, going out to Seattle, which nobody really expected them to compete that hard in that game, I don't think. And then the game in New England, and they competed there a little bit too. And Foxborough is a place that Miami, going into last week, had really, really struggled. So, um, I think the offense, though, here's the thing for the Dolphins offense, they got to get going. They really do. They didn't score much in Seattle, as we know. As we said, they really stumbled out of the gate against New England and fell behind early in that game. And then were able to come back. They're 27th in the NFL in points. And that needs to change because here's the thing about Cleveland, and you might not believe it after what happened last week because Baltimore tried everything to keep Cleveland in that game. And Baltimore tried everything to help Cleveland win that game even after they blew the lead, really. And they couldn't get it done. But if you're Miami, you can't give the Browns chances. Because I do think the defense will stop them. But if by chance they don't, and the offense can't get going, Cleveland could sneak up on you. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I think the defense is just going to be too much for a young quarterback and Cody Kessler on the road. I do have the Dolphins getting the win on Sunday. The next game we are going to take a look at is the NFC North matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. Lions come in 1-1. Packers come in 1-1, and this is a big game right here for the Green Bay Packers. They had a tough matchup against Jacksonville in Week 1. They had a tough loss against the Vikings last Sunday night in Minnesota at the opening of the Vikings new stadium, or the regular season opening of the Vikings new stadium. And they need to play better. The Packers have played really, really bad football. Aaron Rodgers, for really the last, even dating back to last season, does not look like the Aaron Rodgers of old. And it's got some fans here in Wisconsin a little bit worried. I'm not totally worried. I think that this is a situation that the Packers need. The Packers started their season on the road. They played the first 2 games on the road. Now they have a 4-game stretch where they're at home at Lambeau and a bye week in Week 4. So, this is an important stretch going up for the Packers here. They've got to get some wins. They've got to play better, and it starts here against this Detroit team. And they're playing this Detroit team at a good time. Now, Matt Stafford has thrown for 600 yards in his first 2 games. Stafford has been really, really good. But this Lions team is beat up. Defensively, they're beat up. They took a big hit with Amir Abdullah as they had to put him on injured reserve. I believe Wednesday they did that, so that is a huge loss for them. Obviously, the Lions do not play well against the Packers in Wisconsin. They won 18-16 last season, but that was the first time in 25 years that they'd won a game in Wisconsin. So the Lions don't play well here. Like I said, their defense is beat up. Amir Abdullah is out. Theo Reddick is basically going to get a big bulk of the work, which he is not terrible. Theo Riddick is a good guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, and that can be tough for the Packers. Sometimes they can struggle to stop that. The Packers really are going to need to stop. They're going to need to stop Matt Stafford. They're going to need to stop Anquan Bolden. And in the receiving game, the Packers have had a bit of a tough time stopping the receiving. The receiving portion, I guess. I don't know what I just tried to say there. But they've had a hard time defending the pass of the Packers. They had a hard time against the Jaguars. They had a really hard time against Stephon Diggs and the Vikings last week. And really getting some major pressure on Sam Bradford. They are going to need to get pressure on... they're going to need to get pressure on Matt Stafford. But the problem with the Packers defense is they have a lot of questionables. Dayton Jones, questionable. Also, LaTroy Guion is questionable. Dayton Jones, questionable. Of course, the big one, Sam Shields, is listed as questionable with a concussion. He went and saw a specialist this week about his concussions. I don't really foresee him playing on Sunday. Packer fans really hope he does, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a lot more difficult. This is a tough game for me to pick, honestly. I saw some comments earlier this week about how it it feels like the NFL already has this game in the bag because the NFL is constantly screwing the Lions, and people just blame the fact that the Lions are the Lions and that they kind of collapse. I'm over the NFL's rigged stuff. I really am. I always have been, and I'm continuing to get more over it because supposedly the NFL does not want a team in Detroit. I don't understand why they wouldn't want a team in Detroit. If you're the NFL and you don't want a team somewhere, I would imagine you probably don't want a team in a place like Jacksonville. You're not going to want to take a team out of Detroit. But anyway, nonetheless, Lion fans at times can be a little bit delusional, and they've lost for a long time. And so that's understandable. And I'm sure I'm going to piss off some Lion fans saying that, but that's just the way it is. Like I said, this game is tough to pick. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner for this game. I think it's close. I think it's a normal divisional matchup. But I do have the Packers. I can't see the Packers dropping 2 in a row to the Lions at Lambeau, so I do have the Packers getting the win. The next game we are going to take a look at is the matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Tennessee Titans, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. The Raiders come in 1-1. The Titans come in equally at 1-1. And the Raiders, there is some trouble in Oakland. I said coming into the season I felt Oakland was going to compete in the AFC West. I still feel like they could. But they have one big issue that they need to resolve, and they need to resolve it quick. And that's defense. In the first 2 games, the Raiders' defense has given up 1,000 yards. And that is against a Saints offense which is potent, and the Atlanta Falcons. A game that the Raiders led and lost 35-28 at home. They went on the road, beat New Orleans, and then at home lost the game to Atlanta. Now, you look at the Titans, and the Titans have not been great at home. Over the last couple of years, they're just 2-14 since 2014, and their 2 wins have come against Jacksonville, a team that also hasn't been good. Of course, Titans have only won 5 games in the last couple of years, so the Titans have been rough. And with Marcus Mariota, the Titans have talent. You have Marcus Mariota, you've got Delaney Walker, you've got talent. Meanwhile, the Raiders also have talent. They have Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper. David Carr has been good this year, and I was calling him David Carr. Pretty sure I did. Derek Carr has been good this year. He's got 4 touchdown passes in 2 games, 618 yards. Amari Cooper has 208 of them. So they need to really get them going again. And they really need, as I said, they really need to shore up their defense. And we don't know what's going on. There was talk that Jack Del Rio had started calling the defense after a while last Sunday, but he says he's not going to do that this week. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. There is, as I said, there is trouble. And the Raiders need to get their defense figured out, and they need to get off the field fast. Because Marcus Mariota is good, and he definitely has weapons. This Raiders team, as I said, concerns me. I'm not as confident about them as I was coming into the season. And I think that they definitely still have time to turn it around, but they do need to figure out what they're doing quickly. They need to really... The Atlanta Falcons tight ends had a combined 180 yards last week. That can't happen because the Raiders defense is facing another tight end that is capable of doing that in Delaney Walker. And if they get Delaney Walker those kind of numbers, things are not looking good for Oakland. Um, like I said, this is a tough one. Um, I don't even really know where to go. Like at the beginning of the year, I would have said Oakland easy, and like I said, my confidence in Oakland just isn't there right now. Um, I do think that this is a big game. I do think that they need to win it. This is tough. It really is. Um, I'm gonna go with Delaney Walker and the Titans here. I really am. I think that they're going to be able to exploit that Raiders defense. If that Raiders defense tightens up even just a little bit and starts generating some 3-and-outs, then they'll be fine. Derek Carr is going. The offense is going. Amari Cooper is going. Michael Crabtree is going. It's the Raiders defense that concerns me. I think Mariota's going to make some points on them. Going to be able to make plays on them and get some points on them. I think this game is close. I'm going to probably regret this. But I've got the Titans edging out for the win. Next up, we are going to take a look at the matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Fox. Vikings come in 2-0. Panthers come in 1-1. Now, obviously, the big one coming out of this game is the fact that both teams are starting different running backs. Of course, Adrian Peterson, injured last week in the game against the Packers, is expected to miss some time. So that is big for them. He tore meniscus by Peterson against Packers. So he's definitely going to miss some time. It looks like Jerick McKinnon's going to get a lot of play, and then James Stewart went out last week for the Panthers. It sounds like Cameron Artis-Payne is going to be the lead back for the Panthers. So I think if you're the Panthers defense, you have to feel a little bit of relief that you don't have to face Adrian Peterson, and that you can just deal with Sam Bradford. Bradford played really well last week. Bradford looked like a star last week against the Packers. Sam Bradford outplayed Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't close. So they can focus on Bradford. Nothing against, and that's no shot at Jerick McKinnon, but Jerick McKinnon is no Adrian Peterson. And another big loss for the Vikings, another advantage for the Panthers, is the fact that Matt Khalil was put on IR. So that is huge. That's a huge loss for them. Cam Newton is playing well. Newton, of course, very mobile. He spread the ball out really, really well last week against San Francisco. 46-27 in that win. I believe it was something like, let me see if I can find it here. I believe it was something like 7 different guys caught passes. This Vikings team is really good. No Peterson, Peterson or no Peterson, Khalil or no Khalil. Obviously, those are great pieces to have back. But the Vikings aren't going to have Khalil back for a while. They aren't going to have Peterson back for a while either. This is still a really good team. But this is going to be a true test for the Vikings and Sam Bradford. Because the Panthers defense can run laps around the Packers defense. So the Vikings going out here on the road, a tough road test for them. They've already been on the road once this year, but that was against Tennessee. Struggled a little bit there offensively with Sean Hill. This game is probably going to be a hard-fought game. I don't know how the Vikings are going to be able to contain Cam Newton. The last time they faced Cam Newton, they contained him pretty well, but Newton, I think, that was back in 2014. Newton's gotten better since then. Newton looks really good to me, and if Newton can spread the ball around the field like he did last week against San Francisco. Now, granted, the Vikings are better than the Niners, but this game is a feels like a big game to me. This feels like it could be a playoff preview, because I do feel like both of these teams have a really good shot to be there, provided that Sam Bradford can keep doing what he's doing. Carolina will most definitely be in the playoffs unless they fall off a cliff. This is a tough game to pick. This is a game that I'm one of the games that I'm probably most interested in this week. And I think the Panthers are going to be too much. And I think not having to worry about Adrian Peterson, as I said, is going to help them. I think not having to worry about Matt Khalil is going to help them. We won't get to see the Khalil brothers face each other. But I think this is going to, like I said, this is going to be a true test for Bradford. And I think this is really going to show the Vikings what they're going to get in Bradford this year. A lot of people didn't understand the Sam Bradford trade. I understood it, but a lot of people didn't. And I think after last week, I think now a lot of people understand it. And it'll be interesting to see, depending on how he plays this week, how the fans feel about it after his second game. But like I said, I think the Panthers are going to be just too much. I've got the Panthers getting the win. Next up, we are going to take a look at the NFC East matchup between the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. This is a big game right here in this division, because if the Giants win, they're 2-0 in the division, 3-0 overall. The Redskins, who won the division last year, will fall to 0-2 in that division after they lost to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott last week. The big story in this game. Here we go again. Odell Beckham. Josh Norman. As we all know, Josh Norman lost a good chunk of money last year. Wasn't really a good chunk to him, but it's a good chunk to most people last year when Norman and the Panthers met the Giants. We all know what happened there. And that just adds an all-new storyline to what is already a very important game. The Redskins right now are a mess. There's grumblings that teammates don't like Kirk Cousins. They don't like the way he's playing. Meanwhile, the Giants are playing decently well. They played sloppy against the Saints. 3 lost fumbles. Tough game for the Giants last week. They need to clean it up against the Redskins. Of course, with it being a division battle, that's a little bit tougher to do. The Redskins have struggled at MetLife in the last several years. Giants will look to keep that going. Meanwhile, you look at a couple of the big things. There's injuries here, and I'm not going to lie, I'm getting this off ESPN. There are some injuries here that make me go yikes if you're the Redskins. And as far as I know, these guys haven't been ruled as out, but definitely banged up. Trent Williams is banged up. Chris Baker is banged up. Josh Jackson is banged up, and the big one is Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson didn't practice on Wednesday, so he is banged up as well. If you're the Redskins, you need this game. This is desperation time. Week 3 into the season, this is desperation time for the Skins, because if you lose this game, to me, your season is almost over. This is so crucial for them. And so this is really, if you're the Redskins right now, you're looking at the schedule and you're groaning and you're like, boy, we couldn't be in a worse place to be in this position. This is not going well. Just if I can just find it here quick, let me find these numbers against the Giants at MetLife. I'm having a hard time finding them. But let me see. I'm trying to look, and I don't know. Got it. No, I don't. Never mind. Thought I did, but I don't. Either way, they have been really, really rough at MetLife, I guess is my point. And right now, the Giants, to me, look like the best team in the East. I know that you've got the Eagles and they're 2-0 and Carson Wentz looks really good and I've been really impressed with him. But they've played Cleveland and they've played Chicago. So I haven't seen anything from Philly yet that really makes me go, yep, they're definitely a contender. Right now, the Giants have won a couple of close football games. They won an ugly football game against the Saints, won an ugly football game against the Cowboys. To me, the Giants right now are the best team in the East. And so this division right now is the Giants for the taking, and they can go a big step. They can take a big step in doing that with a win. So I think they'll get it. I've got the Giants getting the win. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit because it's taken way too long. And we are back, and I've decided I'm going to kind of spit through, do a bit of a rapid fire for the rest of these, and then figure out what I'm going to do next week because uploading this is going to not be easy with the rough internet that I have. So next up, we've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what? I'm selling on the Jaguars real quick. I really am. They had the Packers ready for the taking. I apologize for that right there, and I will be back in just a second. And we are back, guys, and I'm sorry I have to cut this short, so we are going to do this very, very quickly. Basically, we've got the Ravens and the Jaguars. I do expect the Ravens to get a win here. I think Jacksonville has a long way to go. They have a lot of talent, but don't seem to really know what they're doing. They had a chance to beat the Packers. Things didn't go well for them against the Chargers last week, I believe it was. And so I do expect Baltimore to get the win. Next up, we have the Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers got thumped in Arizona last week. The Rams got a win against Seattle in their first game in Los Angeles. I'm still not real impressed with this Rams team because Seattle is going to be better than what they showed. Meanwhile, you guys know I'm high on the Bucs. Even though I said that the game would be close against Arizona, I was totally wrong there, obviously. But I do think they will bounce back nicely and get a win against the Rams. Niners and the Seahawks is next. I have Seattle getting the win here and improving to 2-1. I'm not big on San Francisco. They got throttled by Carolina as I expected that they would, and then they throttled St. Louis in that Monday night game. Seattle's going to figure it out. Give them time. They're going to get it going. I've got the Seahawks getting the win. Chargers and the Colts. Basically, this is going to be a game of who doesn't suck. It's going to be a game of who doesn't suck as much as the other one. That's basically what it's going to be. I'm a little higher on the Colts than the Chargers. I've got the Colts getting the win. Steelers, Eagles, first real big test for Carson Wentz here, and I'm not sure he can pass it. I'm really big on this Pittsburgh team. I think they're really, really good. I think Wentz will play all right, but I think we'll kind of see the struggles. I think he'll kind of be brought back down to earth a little bit. I've got the Steelers getting the win. Bears and the Cowboys. I think Cutler is done in Chicago. Just period. I think his time in Chicago is done. Cowboys, meanwhile, they look good. Dak Prescott looks good, even though he hasn't done anything too terribly impressive, I don't think, yet. He's got a pretty good team behind him, too. That helps. Cowboys are the better team here. I've got them getting the win on Sunday Night Football. Next up, we have the Monday night game, Atlanta and New Orleans. Tough division battle here. Saints looking for the first win. Falcons had a come from behind win against the Raiders last week, but I'm still not incredibly impressed by that team. I've got the Saints getting the first win of the year. Like I said, I just ran into some issues, so I have to go. So I'm sorry that I got a little bit lazy here with this end part. One of these weeks, I promise not screwing you guys over. I am going to actually do this right one of these weeks, hopefully. Don't forget to like the Jam Sports Show page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Links, as always, are down in the description. That is going to do it for me. I am Jonathan for Jam Sports 100, the Jam Sports Show, and I will see you guys later.